Okay, hello everyone. It's been a while since I posted one of these videos, but I figured now is a great time to do this because in 2 days, I'm going to be making my debut at the Epcot Festival of the Arts as an official Disney Fine Artist. And, I made my debut as a Disney Fine Artist October 2025 at an event that they had. And since then, a lot of people have been asking me, how did you make this happen? How did it happen? So I really wanted to share kind of this part of the journey with you guys and kind of share my story of how I got to this point. So going back, I was a little kid, going back to when I was a little kid, I was a big, huge Disney fan. I loved drawing Disney characters, watching the Disney films, and I just loved the artistry. I remember when I was like about 12 years old, I wrote a letter to Disney Animation Orlando, and they sent me back this package of how to become a Disney animator. And I remember seeing that it was like a Xerox copies. I remember seeing that and saying, I want to be a traditional animator. And then in high school, when it came time to go to college, out of high school, you know, I I was one of these people that I was, people said your success in art is really dependent on your talent. And at that point in my life, I worried, well, what if I don't have enough talent? What if I'm just not good enough? And I kind of let that fear and that self-doubt win. And I chose another path, a practical path, what I thought was practical at the time. But I had this burning desire inside of me to be an artist. Like I felt like that was what I was supposed to do with my life. I kept thinking, in my early 20s, at the end of the day, when I get to the end of the road and people are giving my eulogy, what do I want them to say about me? And I really wanted to be, I wanted even to be proud of what I was able to do. So I felt like I had to be an artist. So I ended up going back to get my master's degree and pivoting completely and going after illustration to get closer to that dream. But I want to talk specifically about Disney Fine Arts. So, in my 20s, when I was having all these ideas, I remember that was the first time I learned about Disney Fine Art. I remember going on the website and looking at all the artists and looking at all the artwork and thinking it was just amazing. Like, I want to do this. I want to paint Disney characters and stories. And I remember seeing the work of Rodel Gonzalez and James Coleman. I loved their work. I even did master copies, meaning just study their paintings and paint them for myself just to learn. And that was in my 20s. And I remember one time being in downtown Disney and I came across a long time ago Greg McCullen, and he gave me his digital pencils. And I was so happy because this Disney fine artist gave me the pencils he used to draw. He emailed them to me. I was so grateful and happy with the information he gave me. And and one time before that, I met another Disney fine artist at an animation gallery here, down here called Barker Animation Gallery. And I remember I was so nervous to talk to this guy, and I couldn't get the words out. He's like, "Are you an artist too?" I'm like, I didn't know what to say because I was so nervous and self-conscious. And at that time, I just it seemed like impossible, right? So because for many years, I really felt this dream, this idea of being a Disney artist or being a Disney fine artist was just impossible and ridiculous. To the point where I wouldn't even share that idea with people because it seemed so absurd to me. Um, I remember I did also at New Masters Academy, I did a mentorship with Bill Perkins, who was also a Disney artist. He worked for Disney Animation. And I remember when I did my mentorship with him, and on day one, I had to kind of share what my long-term career goals were. And, I wanted to be a Disney fine artist. And I remember telling him this, but I remember feeling like this is just so ridiculous. I mean, like, I don't even know he's going to think this is absurd or not realistic. But I shared it with him, and he was very encouraging, and that gave me confidence. So then, fast forward all these years of that happening in 2025, just a year ago, exactly a year ago, I woke up one morning. I had already emailed several Disney fine artists to kind of get some info of how this works, and some of them responded and were very, very kind with information. But in January 2025, I woke up, I told my son, let's go to Epcot. just to meet the artists, talk to them, and see what kind of connections we can make. So we did. We drove 4 hours. I got to Epcot. Jared Franco was very generous with his time. I'm very grateful to him. He was very friendly, he was very encouraging, and he was very generous with his time. He gave me a lot of info, and I came back inspired. I said, I felt that 2025 was going to be the year I was either going to make this happen or I was going to die trying. Like I was going to go all in and I was going to try to make this happen. So the first painting I did was Goofy the artist. And in a way, that's a self-portrait. Goofy's my favorite character. He's kind of this crazy artist working his studio and the mess of his studio, and that's me. So I made that Goofy the artist painting. My son is the big Donald Duck fan, so I said next I'm going to do this Donald Duck painting. I was making all these paintings really for myself because I figured if Disney Fine Art thing didn't work, at the very least I would have these paintings that I could have in my home that I would enjoy having. I made a Donald Duck. Then I said, now you know what? I'm going to do a Sorcerer Mickey because I like this. So I made the Sorcerer Mickey painting. That was the third one. Then I said I'm going to make a Captain Hook painting because he's my favorite villain. So I made a Captain Hook painting. And the whole time I was posting these on social media, and I was kind of like putting it out there and saying, I'm trying to get Disney Fine Arts attention. This is what I can do. And the big shift for me in 2025 was when I came back, I no longer felt embarrassed about my dream. Like I said, I'm going to put it out there in the universe for everybody to hear. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm trying to do. And I kind of like accepted it, embraced it. That was a huge shift for me. So then I made all these paintings. I was putting it out there on social media and I wasn't getting any traction. But I did kind of, some people were responding. This is one, I was getting a lot of encouragement. And then I said, you know what? This is 4 paintings. I'm going to do one more and go out with a bang. And I made this huge 7 dwarfs painting, complex 7 dwarfs painting. And I said, this is like, I want to show them what I can do. So then I was putting all these things out there. I got the attention of some collectors who were very encouraging, some people at Disney that were that saw the work and they thought it was good. And then Disney Fine Art, through all these other things, reached out to me and they said, hey, shoot us a message, shoot us an email with more of your work and let's talk. So this was around the middle of the year. And then basically about 2 months later, I had a meeting with Disney Fine Art. I showed them the work in person and they said, let's make this happen. And they wanted me to produce like 7 more paintings for an event they had in October where I made my official debut, which was a huge success for me. So basically that's how I made it happen this year. But I think what's most important about that story or that journey was a shift in the mindset. I really went from this is impossible, there's no way, to I felt in my bones that this was going to be the year I was going to make this happen. And I always tell my son that whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. And that couldn't be more true. The moment that I always wanted to, but I felt it was impossible. So the moment that I made that shift and I really felt that I could make this happen was when kind of everything started aligning and things started happening. I'm also not a big believer in luck. I always tell my son too that luck is when talent or skill meets opportunity. So I've spent 20 years developing these skills and always learning, always pushing myself. There's so much to learn in art. And I'm generally never satisfied. And that is a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because that dissatisfaction is always kind of leaves you wanting more. But it's the same thing that propels the work forward. So on every piece, I'm trying to challenge myself. I'm trying to do more. I'm trying to hit a new level. And over time, over the course of 20 years, you can make a ton of strides forward. Anybody can. And whatever dream you want to pursue and whatever idea you want to pursue, in a lifetime, you can accomplish anything by taking these small steps towards your goal. And I guess that's my message for anyone seeing this, if it can help anybody, that whatever your dream is, this was a dream for me, and it really is a dream come true to be able to paint these characters and stories. But whatever your dream is, you have lifetime to accomplish it, and it can be done over time. So in 2 days, I'm going to be at Epcot as an official Disney Fine Artist 1 year later, and I'd like to share with you guys what that experience is like. But this is my before video of how I became a Disney Fine Artist and how I came to this point. And this is, part of me is super excited, feeling like this is the beginning, and I have so much more to go with this, hopefully, or I get to paint like some amazing things that I'm excited about down the road. And hopefully I can share that with you guys down the road. But for now, that's how I became a Disney Fine Artist over the past year, and really over the past 20 years that I've kind of been thinking about this. So I hope that inspires or helps somebody along with their journey, that these things are possible. And I'll share with you guys more about next week at Epcot and how that goes. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, my friends.